There are a lot of players in the NBA that are getting paid a lot of money. And with the salary cap in the NBA, you really have to allocate your money in the best way possible to optimize your chances at winning a championship. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? We are going to be putting every NBA team's highest paid player for the 23-24 season in 30 players right here that we are going to rank into 5 tiers. So it's going to be an even distributed 6 players a tier, unless I really want to change it up. If you guys enjoyed these videos, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up on the video. And like always, let me know in the comments what you agree or disagree with. I also made this tier list with these players specifically, so if you want to do this yourself, and let me know on Twitter what you come up with, link in the description to the tier list. All right, so let's start off with the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young is their highest paid player at $40 million this season. If we're going to go 6 players a tier, I feel like Trae could end up being in the A tier, maybe towards the end of it. Maybe we have to move him to B tier at the later part of this video, but for now, Trae Young will stay in A tier. All right, so for the Boston Celtics, it's funny because it is Kristaps Porzingis. He edges out Drew Holiday by around $2 million. Drew has some incentives that he could end up being the highest paid Celtic by the end of the season, but for this year, it's Kristaps Porzingis. It's funny because Jaylen Brown's going to start making like $60 million in a few years, so just ignore Drew there. I kind of read that wrong. So Kristaps Porzingis as your highest paid player, I mean, that's probably a C or B tier. We'll throw him in that B tier. Obviously, if we will get into a vacuum, B tier, but for the Celtics, they're fine with paying Kristaps the most amount of money when they still have Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and oh yeah, Jason Tatum on the squad. You know what? I don't know. I may add a specific tier just for Ben Simmons, who's making $37.8 million this season. So yeah, Ben Simmons, you're going to be in that F tier. Maybe we'll just do 5 players a tier now if we have 6 different tiers. Either way, though, I had to put Ben Simmons in its own tier. So who knows? Maybe people will follow him. And you know what? I think we're going to get another member into that F tier. It's going to be Gordon Hayward, who's making $31.5 million this season with the Charlotte Hornets. So yeah, welcome to the F tier, Gordon Hayward. At least you play, even though you don't even play that much either. And very soon it will be LaMelo Ball as that highest paid player once his rookie extension kicks in. Zach LaVine is making $40 million from the Chicago Bulls this season. And that's probably why he hasn't been traded yet, just because teams don't really want to pay all that money for LaVine. And it's just going to be keep going up and up as the years go along. So yeah, Zach LaVine probably is in that B tier as your highest paid player, but there's a chance him and KP drop to C because I think I'm underestimating how many guys I'm going to want to put in S and A tier. I was surprised to see that Darius Garland is making about $1 million more than Donovan Mitchell this season. So yeah, if this was Donovan Mitchell, it would be an easy A tier, but for Darius Garland, I'll probably throw him in B tier. I do think he's probably a tier below Trae Young at the moment and could be kind of in this LaVine, Kristaps Porzingis tier. All right, we're going to have a couple S tier players right here. Luka Doncic making $40 million. Yeah, that's a pretty good thing when your best player is just making $40 million when other guys are making $60 million, and he's a top 5-ish player in the NBA. So yeah, Luka, easy S tier for me. And then for the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic got that super max a couple off seasons ago, $47.5 million. It's going to keep going up and up each year though. But obviously as the reigning finals MVP and arguably the best player in the NBA, an easy S tier. Imagine this was Joe Harris making the most amount of money in the Pistons. This is just disgusting. Your top 5 highest paid guys are Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Harris, Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman, and Cade Cunningham on his rookie contract. So yeah, for Bojan Bogdanovic, I'm going to throw him in that D tier, probably a step above Gordon Hayward and Ben Simmons as players. I think we can all agree on that. For the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry's making $51.9 million. I mean, the Warriors have had their issues this year. So I'm like debating if I want to throw Steph in that A tier. Am I going to drop him below? But no, I think he's going to still end up in that S tier. We will see though. We may have some debate on what's going to go on up there. The Houston Rockets gave Fred VanVleet a ton of money in the 2023 offseason, so he's making $40.8 million this season. So I think I'm going to throw Fred VanVleet in that C tier, but there's a chance he drops to D tier with Bojan Bogdanovic, and I think that's very likely. Bruce Brown signed that short-term contract with a high annual salary at $22 million last offseason with the Indiana Pacers. It's not a bad contract by any means since they pretty much have team control on it. But yeah, Bruce Brown as your highest paid player, I kind of want to throw that in the F tier, but you know what? We're going to throw him in the D tier. We're going to respect his role-playing ability. And then obviously next year when Tyrese Halliburton's rookie extension kicks in, he'll be the top guy. So CJ McCollum just edges out Zion Williamson, making $35.8 million, Zion at $34 million. So I think McCollum is going to join Fred VanVleet in that C tier, but like I said about Fred VanVleet, both of them could end up dropping down to D tier. In terms of base salary, Jalen Brunson is the highest paid Knick. There are some incentives that could push Randall as the highest paid Knick at the end of the season, but I'm going to do the same criteria I did with the Celtics, just go by base salary. So for Jalen Brunson as your highest paid guy on that deal, I'm going to throw him in the A tier. I think he's closer to Trae Young than he is to Darius Garland, and you could even say he's better than Trae Young. So yeah, we're going to have Trae and Brunson in A tier. There's a lot of good talent left, so these guys are going to end up getting dropped. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's rookie extension has kicked in, where he's making $33.3 million. And the way Shea is playing this year, I kind of want to throw him into that S tier. He's an MVP candidate. Obviously, he hasn't as accomplished as much as maybe like Curry, Luka, and Jokic have in the playoffs so far. And I mean, Luka has just really been to one conference finals. But still, I feel like Shea is definitely a tier above these guys, but we'll see what we're going to end up having to change. All right, I accidentally threw Markelle Fultz into this tier list, but it should go to Jonathan Isaac. Yeah, who's making $17.4 million, but he hasn't really stayed healthy since he got that contract extension. So yeah, Jonathan Isaac, you're going in that F tier with Gordon Hayward and Ben Simmons. All right, next up, we got Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers, who's making $47.6 million. It's funny because Tobias Harris is still making $39 million. So for Joel Embiid, we are going to throw him in that S tier. Yeah, we're almost at that S tier limit, pretty much. We kind of are, and we still have tons of talent left. So we're definitely going to have a good debate at the end of this video. All right, so without including incentives, Bradley Beal is the highest paid Phoenix Sun this season at $46.7 million. So yeah, just ignore the KD PNG. So for Bradley Beal, what he's giving you right now, I kind of want to throw him in that C tier with Fred VanVleet and CJ McCollum. But what I feel like I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to drop CJ and VanVleet to maybe this D tier. And then we may have to drop Bruce Brown into that F tier the way I'm looking at this, sadly. There's a chance it could change, so you know what, we'll throw him in D tier for now, but I feel like, yeah, we'll have Bradley Beal in that C tier, just the way he's, like, not been able to stay healthy. He's looked good at times, but he's obviously taken a step back defensively. We can definitely still change this, though, don't worry. Yeah, I really thought I was going to be ranking Kevin Durant today for the Phoenix Suns, but yeah, for DeAndre Ayton and the Portland Trailblazers being their highest paid guy at $32.4 million a year, I mean, that's probably going to earn you F tier as your highest paid player in DeAndre Ayton, but like, we'll throw him in D tier for now, but some guys are going to eventually have to make that F tier. For the Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox's rookie extension has kicked in for a little bit now, and I believe Sabonis will be making more than him once his contract extension kicks in, but for De'Aaron Fox, definitely should be in that A tier with Brunson and Trae Young. So yeah, for the Spurs, Keldon Johnson's rookie extension has kicked in where he's the highest paid Spur at $20 million a year, and if we're looking at the rest of this field, Keldon Johnson, I don't know. He may be in that F tier as well. We're going to throw him in the D tier, but we're going to have to make some tough decisions later in the video on who we got to drop to F tier. For the Toronto Raptors, for now, Pascal Siakam is still the highest paid Raptor at $37.8 million. It does look like that Siakam is going to get moved at the deadline or leave in the offseason, so it may be RJ Barrett next year. But for now, I'm going to throw Pascal Siakam in that B tier with Garland, LaVine, and Porzingis. For the Utah Jazz, John Collins is their highest paid player at $25.3 million. Collins is not a good defensive big man, but he's a solid offensive big man. Definitely better if you throw him at that center spot, but he's going to sadly join Ben Simmons, Gordon Hayward, and Jonathan Isaac in your F tier if he's your highest paid player. And somebody else that's going to be joining them in F tier is going to be Jordan Poole, who's making $27.4 million for the Wizards this year. And yeah, that's not going to cut it as your league's top guy. Obviously, the Wizards didn't give him that contract. It was the Golden State Warriors, but he's going to be in that F tier with these guys. So John Morant is making $34 million from the Memphis Grizzlies. He's not going to really play it at all for the rest of the season as he had season-ending shoulder surgery last week. So for John Morant, as your highest paid player, we'll probably throw him in that A tier. I think we're just going to drop basically B tier into C tier and A tier into B tier eventually. So Giannis and Dame are making the same amount of money for the Milwaukee Bucks. So I went with Giannis Antetokounmpo for this list. Obviously, he's going to be an S tier player. Jimmy Butler is the highest paid Heat at $45 million a year. I hate this headshot of him, man. So we're going to throw him in that A tier for now. LeBron is the highest paid Laker at $47.6 million a year. And for now, we'll throw LeBron in that S tier. Paul George and Kawhi are making the same amount of money. Kawhi just got an extension from the LA Clippers for around $50 million a year. We're going to throw Kawhi in that S tier. And the last player of the initial ranking is going to be Rudy Gobert, who's making $41 million this season for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we'll throw him in that B tier for now. So now let's rearrange this tier list. So if I want to make it evenly distributed, I'm sorry, Bruce Brown, but I got to drop you to that F tier if we're going to put 6 players into each tier. Oh man, deciding who's in the D tier is really going to hurt. I may just like be a hypocrite and go back on my word of this 6-person a tier limit. All right, so we're definitely going to drop, I think, Rudy Gobert into C tier. I mean, Rudy Gobert's your highest paid player, probably is warrant of a D tier though. I mean, Cat is eventually going to pass him. So we're going to drop these guys into C tier. Oh man, I know Timberwolves fans are going to hate me if I do this. Well, actually, it's going to be 5 guys a tier. I'm an idiot with 6 tiers. And if we're going to make this evenly distributed, this is what I'm coming up with. We're going to have an S tier of Jokic, Giannis, Steph, Embiid, and Luka. I feel kind of disrespecting Embiid if I don't throw him in that S tier, but he hasn't led the Sixers to a conference finals appearance. So that would be the knock on him if I wanted to put Shea there. And then in A tier, we have Shea, Jimmy, LeBron, Kawhi, and De'Aaron Fox. And I went with Fox over everybody in B tier. So yeah, B tier, we got Trae Young, Jalen Brunson, John Morant, Pascal Siakam, and Rudy Gobert, who makes it into B tier over the guys in C tier just because he's a defensive player of the year caliber guy. So C tier, we got Beal and LaVine, pretty similar to each other, and like CJ CJ McCollum as well. And then we have Darius Garland and Kristaps Porzingis. D tier, we got Bojan Bogdanovic, Fred VanVleet, DeAndre Ayton, Keldon Johnson, and Bruce Brown. And then F tier, you got John Collins, Jordan Poole, Gordon Hayward, Ben Simmons, and Jonathan Isaac. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this tier list in the comments below. I know I'm going to have some debate for that S tier and that A tier, but if we're going to make this a strict 5-player limit, and you're saying, Matt, Shea has to be an S tier, well, also let me know who you're removing from S tier. You can't just add a guy if we're not going to remove someone. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. This one was super fun to make, so I hope you guys did enjoy it. Like always, subscribe if you were not already. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.